margins in general, even though that is a logistical nightmare overall. It still is infinitely cheaper at the end of the day for people who want to produce goods at the as cheaply as possible. Another thing that they also do is take advantage of migrant workers. H-1B visas are supposed to be for these incredibly talented workers that are highly skilled and have gotten, they've gotten all this education. And it's understandable that we have this mentality towards the brain drain. It's what has kept America competitive. It helps improve scientific research in the country. There are many different benefits for the H-1B visa program. The problem, or rather not the problem, but the additional benefit, the real benefit for the likes of Elon Musk, however, is that outside of the two pressure factors that I've mentioned for documented American laborers, there's a third component that is even more consequential. It opens up a new avenue of exploitation because migrant workers, obviously due to the currency exchange, are always going to, if they want to bring money back to their home nations, they're going to be more willing to take a pay cut. That's number one. But number two, perhaps more consequential, is that if they lose their jobs, they don't just lose healthcare, they get fucking deported. And this is precisely the reason why Elon Musk and many other billionaires love the H-1B visa program. Because this way, you get to bring in a migrant worker that is competent, that is well-educated, that will work for much cheaper than the American worker, and is also tremendously leveraged in the eyes of, or rather, Elon Musk has tremendous leverage over the likes of an H-1B worker, and therefore that H-1B worker is endlessly exploitable, much more exploitable than even the documented U.S. citizen laborer. Now, the solution to this problem is to ensure that there is a normalization and a proper processing to ensure that you can't actually depress wages for H-1B workers and keep the wages in the marketplace even. This, of course, is considered socialism or some kind of like price enforcement, some kind of wage enforcement, which is not even a part of the conversation. Not a single person will allow that to happen. And that is precisely why we have arrived at this major problem for a lot of Americans who are like, well, I want to get a job, especially in the tech sector where there's been hundreds of thousands of layoffs. What the is going on? Elon Musk is still trying to fill these roles with migrant workers rather than American laborers. And therein lies the major issue. Therein lies the major problem. Now, I obviously have been gloating a little bit on the timeline over this process because I think it's very funny. A couple things I want to point out. Racist people are so funny. They thought the billionaire man doesn't just want cheaper labor, just like they foolishly think they're superior to a dude born into abject poverty just because the dude is brown. There's an air of entitlement and superiority that a lot of Americans feel over the rest of the world because of American empire. They think like they did it. You didn't do it. You're just a beneficiary of it to a certain degree, and you're not even a good enough beneficiary of it because all the death and destruction that we subjugate the developing nations to do not even come back bountiful to the American society, to the average American labor aristocrat. That's what's so funny about it, is that part of the reason why our GDP is so high is because there are so many expensive middle managers in every process. For-profit healthcare is one of the best glaringly obvious examples of this. There is no real service that they're providing, and it should not exist. It's a concept that literally only churns profit for people. That's it. It's a money-making operation. It doesn't have any real service. It doesn't offer anything. Like, that's not a real concept at all. We just made up an entire industry specifically designed make things more costly, and they certainly do make things more costly, and it makes a lot of money for people who are shareholders. And we've basically done this with every industry. So the second tweet I had, which apparently a lot of right-wingers agreed with, which I thought was strange, is the elites destroyed schooling in this country for profit. They treat teachers like dirt. Kids get shot in school. Then they tell you college is not important and it can't be free. And now you're sitting around mad about H-1B visas. Lamau, you've been robbed blind. Ashley St. Clair said, never thought I'd see the day where I agree with Hassan. A bunch of right-wingers saw this tweet and were like, oh my God, I agree, which is interesting. I guess when you frame it with elites rather than capital owning bourgeois or whatever, oh my God, you're becoming jank. Yeah, totally. This means I agree with right wingers and not vice versa. I think I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum where right wingers are agreeing with me. I'm not agreeing with right wingers. I am noticing contradictions that other people are also noticing and using that to describe my worldview in a way that people can comprehend. That is the major difference here. Isn't this their argument for school choice? The elites destroyed schooling in this country for profit is literally a argument against school choice. If I didn't know you, I would have assumed you were right wing just by the use of the word elites. Elites here is obviously a substitute for capital owners, not like, Jews or I don't know, woke they them baristas. Okay, like the actual elites, the actual people who are in control of capitalist society, capital owners. Just so you understand. I mean, everyone here understands it, and the point still stands. The point remains. The elites destroyed schooling in this country for profits. It is true. Part of that is school choice, voucher programs, and rampant privatization. The truth is that rampant privatization has absolutely gutted and destroyed American public education, and that is a major component as to why American laborers are no longer competitive in the global market. And there are two ways out of this. Either you try to engage in isolationist policies, or you rapidly improve the educational infrastructure in this country and make it as egalitarian as possible in order to yield the best possible results. Because you don't fucking know what people's ceilings are. This is part of the problem with racist sentiment. There are many issues with white supremacist attitudes, but this is a major problem. You have no idea what a kid growing up in Southside Chicago, what their potential actually looks like. When you rob them of that potential ahead of time, you'll never know. That's it. And in that process, because we're trying to eke out profits from every corner, from every sector possible, we actually end up making our labor force less competitive in the global marketplace. And that's why, inevitably, countries like China will thrive in this marketplace because they don't fuck around with education. This is why it's always hilarious when Donald Trump, in the same conversation, will say something along the lines of abolishing the Department of Education. And in the same breath, without a shred of irony, will turn around and say, look at Norway and Chinese education. It's so much better than us. I wonder why. Perhaps it's because they understand the importance of education across the board. So there's two ways out of it, which is to endlessly engage in profit seeking while simultaneously push harder and harder, engage in more isolationism, and continue rampant exploitation and refuse to educate your broader populace and become dumber as a society. A dumber society is easily controlled, easily manipulated, so it still benefits the capital owners in general as they rely on better educated migrant workers that are more exploitable. Or you can continue migration while also simultaneously ensuring that every American gets the proper education all the way up to the college level, make college education free in general, and stop listening to dumbass elites like Elon Musk who take advantage of that division in American society to sell you a lie. I am reminded of the Vivek Ramaswamy moment where he wore that Texas jacket and the big cowboy hat. Let me see if I can find it. This is all it takes for many dumbass Americans. All it takes is for a guy like this, who is a hedge fund pharma bro, who is one of the major villains of American society, that has robbed regular Americans blind. All it takes is for this dude to put the fucking Texas jacket on, put a big ass cowboy hat on, and go, I don't like trans people. I think trans people are robbing you blind. I don't like them Mexicans. And then everybody goes, you're right. You're right, King. American history is riddled with people like this. One of the greatest examples is Ronald Reagan, who was literally an actor. This is precisely the Ronald Reagan method. Fake populist bullshit. Make Americans divided, make them focus on racial boundaries that don't disrupt the capitalist pecking order, and you can rob them blind. Vivek Ramaswamy set us Indian Americans back 2 decades by doing this bootlicker shit. Yeah, it's also kind of funny because